everybody. This is my first live broadcast. And the reason I wanted to do this broadcast was because what was in the news today? Dr. Anthony Stein, first brought it to my attention about the Denver Seminarians and the blood oath, allegedly, that happened. So I'm going to start by just reading the article from The Pillar. And also, Dr. Taylor Marshall did a great show on this where he alleged that this was a kind of mock setup in order to damage these seminarians' future priesthoods so they could be bribed or blackmailed if they ever rose up the hierarchy all the way up to Cardinal, Bishop, Monsignor. So let me just give you a recap for those of you who don't know about the Pillar's article titled Yeti Blood Oath Divides Denver Seminary. It begins with clergy in the Archdiocese of Denver are divided over the handling of a controversial blood oath ceremony involving a vice rector and seminarians during a ski trip last year. And by the way, this is the second year in a row they've done this. So there could have been future years that were planned because you'll see why as I get through this podcast. A group of seminarians studying at Denver's St. John Vianney Theological Seminary were taken on the trip in January 2024 by then Vice Rector of the seminary, Father John Nephilim, during which they were awakened in the middle of the night and invited individually to swear a blood oath in a ceremony involving a dagger and a man in a yeti costume. Everyone wants to say, this is nothing, this is silly. If you listen to Dr. Taylor Marshall's theory on this, it could be very serious, as could you imagine these seminarians in their priesthoods, living their priesthoods, and then having this video come up later in life? And a very important data point about this was it was important that it was filmed. So Father Nephilim made sure that it was filmed. And what happened with this is to me, as an ex-occultist, an actual ritual. So if you think about Dr. Taylor Marshall's theory on this, and then you think about at the time, there was a big money drive happening within the diocese. And the man who actually thought up this little lark or ruse or whatever you want to call it, the hoodwinking, is a billionaire. And he is a member of the parish. He also, I'm looking at my editor over there who's helping me with the live stream. He just left me a note. He's going to step out for a second. Okay, now you just screwed me up. Thank you. So back to these seminarians. So even if you think it's a lark or something that was just a sort of like a college hazing, I think you'd be wrong. The priest, Father Nephilim, was their mentor. He was who they looked up to. And they were told they were going to go on a skiing trip, a group of 15 seminarians. How nice that would be to get out into God's country. And yet, in the middle of the night, they were awakened and taken into a trailer on the property where their mouths were duct taped. They were told they were going to give a blood oath, and would they have the male huevos enough to do it. It was very crude language. And that they were going to become a member of a family. And that they could never speak of this again. There was a yeti involved, which is a Bigfoot. So before I go any further of the seriousness of this, I also want to let you know that a diocesan exorcist was contacted to make sure that nothing took place that might need some liberation prayers or something else. I can almost guarantee you that an exorcist worth his salt would have said, yes, this had all of the structure contained within it for an actual ritual, even though it was hokey and kooky and embarrassing to look at if you were an occultist. The eyes of an occultist would see the symbolism wrapped within this ritual. So let's go over that a little bit. The first is the duct tape. Now, many of you have followed my podcast for a year. That's how old my podcast is. I'm only a baby, 1 year old. And you know about the language of the birds or the divine language, the symbolism which is always used in every rite and ritual, whether it be holy or unholy. It's based on God's language, it's symbolic, it is universal archetypes. So these things are the language of rituals and rites. They're just like words, and they hold power even more so because they're functioning on all three planes of existence. They are talking to us intellectually. We all understand the symbolism. They are also spiritually powerful. They are imbued with a spiritual power of the meaning of the symbol. And then they're also just physical symbols, innocuous on their own. So the first one is the duct tape on the mouth. All 15 of these young men, probably I would call them boys. I'm 66 years old. Their mouths were duct taped out in a trailer off of the billionaire's property. I can't imagine being awoken in the middle of the night and having my mouth duct taped and then being told that I would have to draw blood from my forearm. Now, the duct tape we saw during the pandemic rites and rituals that were done against us on the world stage by very high functioning magi, magicians, ceremonial magicians. The duct tape is do not speak. I give my consent by allowing this duct tape on my face or this mask on my face. I give my consent, I will not speak. And you say, but they didn't give their consent. But they did, because the symbolism of rites and rituals when they're being worked against you is a workaround, a loophole. The devil uses it. The devil is a lawyer. He knows the laws better than any other created creature in creation. These people or these entities use this language, this symbolism to speak to the subconscious and therefore gain your consent, the workaround. So, in the divine triangle that we always talk about, when you violate the free will of another, justice kicks in. So, they're avoiding justice. So, legally, they can do a ritual against you, which harnesses your free will. You're consenting to it. Just like the other day when we were all talking about the priests that were slain in the Holy Spirit, they gave their consent. They entered that auditorium, and therefore they came under the attack of the diabolic. In this case, the duct tape is the first thing that a ritual will ask for if they are violating your free will, but getting your consent, therefore not violating your free will. It'll always be something covering the mouth, that symbolism. Even during slavery, masks were used. Do not speak. The next was the athame, the dagger. When I saw that, I almost fell out of my chair. It had the symbolism on it that the most effective athames or daggers, ritual daggers, have, and that is the black and white. It was striped, the black over the white over the black. Think of the checkered floor symbolism, imagery. The checkered floor is base consciousness, spiritual gold consciousness, low consciousness, high consciousness, good, evil. The Athame had both of that. That was a true ritual dagger. Whether it was intentionally chosen that way or not, the symbolism which is contained on that dagger is an athame. It is a ritual ceremonial dagger. Maybe the billionaire didn't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he's Masonic. And maybe, since this was the time where they were doing a money drive, an important one, this billionaire, when he said, I'll give you my home for this nice ski trip, and we're going to do a little hoodwinking to the guys, just sort of an innocent hazing. And the priest said, oh, okay, well, you're a big donor. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm speculating, of course. But, the data points, sadly, money runs a lot of things, including the church or the diocese. After the dagger is the blood symbolism. The blood symbolism is always used within an occult ritual. It's a mockery of the precious blood of Christ, of course. That's a whole nother talk. But blood is always essential. It's like blood in the water. It calls in those demons or fallen angels that you're seeking or seeking the power from or working the ritual on the behalf of. A lot of people don't realize it that when they're sort of dabbling in the occult, there's no difference in the preternatural realms, in the spiritual realms. You could even make a hokey one like this one with the imagery of this crazy, kooky man in a Bigfoot suit. But what is blood? Blood is the life. Blood is a force. Blood in the water calls all these entities in. It also is a part of covenants and oaths across the board. Now, is this real blood that was featured in the photos of the article of the Pillar Catholic, the Pillar News? Go look at it. Looks like real blood. But where would a priest or a billionaire get fresh blood? They said, well, it's bear blood. Where are you going to get fresh bear blood? I don't know. I don't think it just is for sale in the grocery store or at the market down the street. The billionaire, did he own a butcher shop? Did he own a blood bank? How did he get that blood? Was it his own blood? You know, just a little bit to just put on that piece of paper so he could, what? Raise the fear in these young men. Whenever we see blood, there is something that's released in our chemical makeup of our bodies. It is a fear hormone. We release and look at blood and go, ah, there's blood there. These young men were also gagged. There was fear in them. And yet, in all the trust that they had, these are young men that were going to become priests, the ideal, a holy person, walking in the footsteps of the saints. They were going to take a vow of celibacy on poverty. They were certainly better people than these two adults that took them and did this. But let's continue on with the dollar bill. So, what is the symbology of the dollar bill? So far, we have the blood. We have the I won't tell anybody about this, and I won't say no to your request to do this blood oath. The dollar bill is also a consent to watch them for the rest of their lives. The all seeing eye, which dates back to Egypt. Is it the eye of Ra or the eye of Horus? Is it the left eye or the right eye? The eye of Ra is the left eye. The eye of Horus is the right eye. You either see right or you see left, the left handed path. I don't know which was evoked or invoked for this ritual, but that is the symbolism. Also, on the dollar bill, we want to look at the calling card of the Illuminati. No, the Illuminati doesn't really exist anymore, but you know what I'm talking about. Of whatever stonecutter order or whatever occult order, or even if it was just some guy, this billionaire going on the internet and looking up, how do I do a fake ritual? Well, there is no such thing as a fake ritual. Once you enact it and you use the symbolism, then it's a ritual. You can't avoid that because, like I said, you may not believe it's real, but there are entities that are right there watching it always, and it's real. So we also look at the apex of the pyramid, the global control, the elite symbolism, the Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is the new order of ages. We're looking at all this modernism, what's going to flash forward into the future if the devil was influencing this billionaire to unwittingly do this ritual. Why would he add a dollar bill? The symbolism of the dollar bill is the floating eye above, up in the shadowy rafters. You can't see it, but it sees you. Always. That's Lucifer. The next part of the ritual is the yeti symbol. What the heck is the yeti doing in there? Well, that's not a yeti. That's a Bigfoot. And what is a Bigfoot? It's a spiritual entity, an unseen realm entity that is mischievous, that is sometimes even not very nice. It's also very alluring. People leave their lives to search for this entity for decades, their entire lifetimes. This entity is a demon by definition. And what is a demon? A demon is the dead spirit of a Nephilim. There are fallen angels. We all know what those are. And then there are the demons. A dead spirit of a Nephilim manifesting, bleeding in and out of our ordinary reality in the forest. They can be anything they imagine. They can show up as your grandmother. They can mimic anything. There are a lot of reports of extremely preternatural activity with these beings. These are not flesh and blood beings. These are either the work of fallen angels or the demonic, which is the dead spirits of the Nephilim. By definition, the demons are those who are always seeking possession. Either way, it's evil. So I have a little note from my editor. I'm supposed to say hi. I can't even see on my screen if you're out there. And now my editor is doing something weird. Okay. Oh, hello everyone. Let's see what we got here. Don't leave, Jason. Yeah. So, hi. Oh gosh, hello. Okay, everybody. I see your names, and now he's pointing at me to say the names. Thistledown, Raquel, KP, Dr. Obvious. I know you. You just emailed me this morning. KP. Hey, oh gosh, I'm glad you're here. Paul Holtzman. Yeah, good. Okay, I'm going to close this because my brain doesn't think too well technologically, and I have to finish my article. Okay, I have to, don't, I, okay. So this is Jason, my infamous editor that has taught me everything I know. And if you think I'm making a lot of mistakes, we will blame him. Okay, so I want to continue on. So the arm of these young men was extended, and keep in mind, left hand, left arm, left-handed path. Remember I said the eye of providence, left or right, eye of Horus, eye of Ra. So I want to keep going. So during this bizarre ceremony, they were told to scream as if in pain. So the screaming is necessary, as you know, with blood sacrifices or in the satanic rituals. Fear is brought out, adrenochrome is released into the blood. I mean, these guys may not have known all of this, but the entities know all of it. And so, why would this man ask them to scream? What, because of a Yeti suit? Or, why weren't they laughing at that? And by the way, one of the seminarians refused to participate, and he is now put on a quote unquote human leave or human, let me see what they called it. This is so ridiculous. While you're looking for that too, can you turn your microphone up just a little bit? I got to turn my microphone up just a little bit because Jason's on TV. Give it a check. Test, test, test. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. You're talking to Jason because I can't even see what you're saying. You asked him if it's a little better. Okay. Is it a little better now? It's what he wants to know. Just ignore him. He'll go away in a minute. Okay, so this young man, he was put on leave from the seminary, told to get a job, and they called it a human life leave or something like that. And they're saying, well, it wasn't related. And then, come on, it's related. He's in the occult. When you're in a bloodline family and you're trained and years are put into you, if you don't become the megalomaniac or the psychopath that they need that will do anything you're told, there is also hostage tapes and hostage story backgrounds that can be used against you as well, perhaps even threatening your life. So this makes total sense to me when they get a seminarian who says, I will not obey you because you are not in obedience to God. This is wrong. This is an occult ritual. Even if you think it's a joke or a hoodwinking, it's still properly structured. kudos to that young seminarian. He understands why we have the holy rite sacrament of the traditional Latin Mass and all of the conversation we have with the Novus Ordo Mass, which is a watered down McDonald's drive through version of the traditional Latin Mass. I'm not saying the Novus Ordo isn't a valid rite. So, how can I say that this silly, goofy, clown like ritual that is properly structured at the most basic kindergarten level is illegitimate? It's not. It's not illegitimate. So they were asked to put their arm out. A knife is present. There's blood on a piece of paper. There's a dollar bill. Their mouths are duct taped. They've been asked not to speak of this. What do these guys do? They're filmed. They're filming the whole thing. There's some billionaire guy that's been waving money around the nose of this priest, clearly, in my humble opinion. I don't want to be mean. I sound terrible, but sorry, it does anger me because these men are innocent. These young seminarians are so innocent. They want to go down the path of righteousness and holiness. And the one man that they trusted the most, even if it was just a farce or a hoodwinking to this priest, he should know better. Shame on him. These priests are not educated in spiritual warfare. They don't even know the first thing about their biggest enemy, which is Satan, Lucifer. Man, guys, get out there and study. So the next point that's important is, I'll just read this little thing. When they entered the trailer, the seminarians were not met by Father Nephilim, who can be seen in the video setting up a camera to record the occasion, along with a senior seminarian, a participant on the trip, and a person dressed in a yeti costume. So each seminarian was then invited to sit at a table on which there was a dagger and what appeared to be blood and a dollar bill on a piece of paper. And then it was insinuated that they were going to have their arm cut. That just don't worry about it. You'll be a member of the family. Just if you have the huevos, the male huevos, to be here. I mean, just working on the deepest parts of the male psyche. Do you have courage? You better prove it. You better let us cut into your arm. I mean, this is the assumption these young kids were having, and they don't want to disappoint Father Nepal, who they look up to and admire, who they believe is their mentor. And this guy did this. So they had the primal scream, that was there. This was all a legitimate ritual. And an exorcist was contacted just to make sure. I'm sure the exorcist told him, yeah, you need some liberation prayers. The whole thing just is bad. There's money involved with the community within the parish. So here's the comment. Our sense of things wasn't that this was necessarily meant to be spiritual or something occult, and that it was more a kind of a very dumb prank or gag. This is a Masonic hoodwinking. It was also mimicking an initiation rite, right? You're going to become a member of the family. Well, within the occult, what is the member? What is the family they're talking about? They're talking about Ray Els, king, angel, king, Els, Elohim, God, king, God. We now know them as Roy Els, just like alchemy. Al translates to God or angel of the Lord, or however you want to look at it. It's becoming a member of a hierarchy. And then you look at the dollar bill, the pyramid. What does the pyramid symbolize? Well, in some of the secret societies, there's a saying, I think it's Masonic, this one, lift a few stones today. You look at the pyramid and you think, oh, that sounds nice. They're lifting a few stones today, giving some people a hand up. It's also bringing initiates up the hierarchy of the pyramid. Lift a few stones today. Bring a few people up in the hierarchy of the Raels, the Royals. So there's always power and control involved in this. And it's a very sad thing. Yes, as hokey and goofy, you bring Bigfoot in, well, that's a Nephilim, fallen angel / demon, depending. That's the symbolism of that. It's not a symbolism that we're just playing with Bigfoot. That is the symbolism for that. Nephilim. 9 foot tall, big, hairy, monstrous being. This is goofy and silly. This is how the devil works. He makes it clown like and silly. And then everybody goes, oh, that's cute. It's a cartoon. That's no problem. And this was a kindergarten base level ritual. I grant you that. Stupid. Any occultist would be ashamed to even write this ritual because you write rituals. Most people write their own rituals at a certain level. Other people on the internet go and use other people's grimoires and manuscripts and etc. because they don't know how.
Let's bring the audio up. It should be in the yellow when you're talking.
Test, test, test.
Keep going.
Test, test, test. 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 Okay, can you guys still hear me or did I just turn it down?
I think you were turning it down.
Oh, great. Okay, Jason, come do it. This is Jason,
You won't see me.
my off-grid editor. Thank you.
Go ahead and just...
Test, test, test. So next time when I do this, I'll get to be by myself. All right, everybody. Taylor Marshall did a great podcast on this. I really feel his theory is correct that this was to get videotaping of very young future priests. That if one of them did ever become Pope, well, there you go. You've got everything you need. I think that Dr. Anthony Stein did the best breakdown, much better than I did on the pieces of this. My only little tiny contribution is the occult eye POV of this, point of view of this. So I just wanted to do this live broadcast because when I record, it sometimes takes 3 days for me to turn around the video and see it uploaded again. So I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. And Jason, are there any questions or anything in there that somebody wants to know? Do you see anything?
There was actually a question. Bring up the chat.
Okay, the chat. And where am I going to do that? Oh, okay. So can I go up and down?
Yeah, I think Dr. Obvious.
Dr. Obvious, that's Daria. Hi, Daria. Thank you so much. Gosh, thank you, everybody.
So it's a question to people, Cripples of Lord, spiritual worker.
And the question is? The one seminarian that refused was retaliated against by the seminary and sent away for a human sabbatical. That's it. That's it. No coincidences, Daria. No, I thought the same thing. That is just too. But if he had, the guys that participated, if one of them had picked up the knife and actually cut their arm, they would be elevated to Monsignor tomorrow. They wouldn't even have to become a priest. They would just elevate him, right? I mean, we've got pedophiles that are being put in these positions of pedophilia priesthood. Okay. So
yeah, a little further down, it's about the grizzly bear blood.
Okay, I don't think they had real grizzly bear blood. I think this dude, this man, this billionaire, probably had to cut his own finger or arm or something. I mean, where do you get grizzly bear blood? What did the question say? I can't find it.
Is there any occult significance to the grizzly bear's blood versus some other type of blood?
Good point. No, but not bear blood. No. Blood is blood, whether it be your own or an animal. It's the sacrificial nature and the power of blood. I did a whole podcast that you guys can go and watch just a couple of weeks ago. The spiritual significance of blood. It's within my Preternatural Science series. Go watch that. It's really a mockery of Christ's blood, but there is power, a life force, not the soul. Soul is commingled, maybe, but nothing can touch your soul. But in this case, where did this guy get this blood? Is this theater blood? I mean, I don't know. Or did he cut himself? And if he cut himself, that's really bad because he just gave his own blood in an initiation kind of ritual. Either way, the proper structure was there, as hokey as it is. But what did this guy own? A blood bank? Did he own a butcher shop? Did the local store sell quote unquote bear blood? Absolutely not. You cannot. Do you go on the internet and take the time to order it and have it sent with a cold path or anticoagulation um, chemical in it? I mean, really, where do you get that realistic looking blood unless it's fake blood? Maybe it was fake blood. If it's fake blood, it is still holding the symbolic power, just like the fake yeti costume in the divine language, in the language of the birds. It's still powerful. It's like a sigil. You understand? You all know what the pentagram and the pentacle is and the power it holds. It may have a holy meaning, it may have an unholy meaning. But when it's used in this manner, with these other things surrounding it, when fear is used, a primal scream is used, uh, duct tape on the mouth is used, a knife is threatened to go into someone's skin. There's a dollar bill laying there. What was the dollar bill for? For the symbolism of it, the universal archetype of that, Novus Ordo. Oh, where have I heard that term before? Okay, so I could keep rambling on forever, but actually, I have to study for the next podcast that I'm recording, which is the language of the birds, the divine language, the Adamic language. Tune in for that one on, is that Wednesday? Yeah, tomorrow is the Divine Triangle releases, but on Wednesday, I'll be releasing the lecture on the Adamic language, God's language, the language that all of the entities, whether physical or non corporeal, speak. So I want to close with a quick prayer because I didn't open with one. I was in shock. And I want to close with the Our Father. I hope you all pray it with me just because it's powerful. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum. Ad veniat regnum tuum. Fiat voluntas tua sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum de nobis hodie et dimitte nobis debite nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, se libera nos o malo. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filii Spiritus Sancti. Amen. God bless you all. Thank you for being here today with my first live broadcast. And thank you, Jason, for helping me.
You're very welcome.
All right. I will see you all tomorrow when I release the recording of the Divine Triangle.